Okay, so picture this, you're at base camp on Manaslu.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Yeah, so Manaslu, 8th highest peak in the world, right? Just trying to, like, take it all in. The views, the
scale of it all.
Exactly, it's immense. And then you see this guy.
What, like decked out in full gear, ropes, ice axe?
No, that's the thing. He's, like, jogging up the mountain.
No way, you're kidding, right?
Nope. Tyler Andrews shattered the speed record.
Wait, Tyler Andrews, the ultra marathoner?
The one and only.
Okay, that makes a little more sense, but still.
This guy's a beast. Aconcagua, Kilimanjaro, he's got speed records on both.
Right, but those are, walks in the park compared to Manaslu.
Okay, so not a walk in the park. Got it.
It's notoriously unpredictable, treacherous. The weather can change in an instant. Avalanches are a constant threat. We're talking like serious technical climbing here.
And this guy's out there treating it like, what, his morning jog?
It's kind of wild, right? And that's what's so fascinating about this whole thing. He's part of this new breed of like super athlete pushing the limits of what we thought was possible in mountaineering.
Well, and what I found on the article is this wasn't even like a planned thing. He was just doing acclimatization runs, getting a feel for the mountain, and just decided
to go for it.
Yeah. 9 hours, 53 minutes, base camp to summit.
Well, 9 hours? Are you serious? That's, what, 2 hours faster than the previous record?
Tried 2 hours and 18 minutes faster.
That's insane.
Yeah, insane in the membrane, as they say. But is that, like, normal in the mountaineering world? Just deciding to go for a record on a whim?
Not even remotely. Most climbers, they spend months, sometimes years planning these expeditions. Every detail is meticulously mapped out.
Right. Risk assessment, safety plans, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. Because, let's be real, this is dangerous stuff. We're talking about pushing the human body to its absolute limit. But, and this is what gets me about Andrews, it's like this impulsive decision just, boom, pays off in a way no one expected. They barely winded at the summit.
Okay, so we're talking about a guy who trains by, like, running the Inca Trail in a day.
And pacing the Leadville 100, which, if memory serves...
100 miles?
100 miles. And let's not forget, the guy brings a stationary bike to base camp at 4,850 meters.
Okay, hold up. Rewind. A stationary bike.
You heard right.
Is this like a normal thing people do to prep for these climbs?
We'll get into that. It's definitely a choice, let's say. But first, let's talk about what it takes to even think about a climb like this. Because the training regimen is, well, it's intense, to say the least.
A stationary bike at base camp?
Yeah.
Seriously, I am having trouble wrapping my head around this.
Yeah, it's definitely not your average training tool. But, high altitude performance, a whole other ballgame than just being fit.
You think you're in shape, you can run a marathon, no problem. And then
altitude hits you like a ton of bricks.
And it's not just the physical, right? About how it affects your mental state, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Oxygen deprivation does weird things to the brain. So training at altitude, like Andrews did in Ecuador, it's crucial for acclimatizing both body and mind.
So it's like training to think straight when your brain's basically screaming for oxygen.
Pretty much. And then you've got the physical demands. Muscles fatigue faster, recovery takes longer. That's where those crazy endurance challenges come in, like running the Inca Trail, the Leadville 100.
Right, pushing your body to recover quickly under those extreme conditions.
Exactly. It's like teaching your body to become super efficient with oxygen. And that's where I think the stationary bike comes in.
Okay, so explain this to me. How does a stationary bike at, what was it, almost 16,000 feet?
Yeah, something like that.
How does that help?
Something about maintaining cardiovascular fitness without the impact. So you're pushing your heart and lungs, but you're not pounding your joints, which is huge at that altitude.
So it's like fine-tuning the engine, even when you're already in the race.
That's a great way to put it. But to answer your earlier question, is it common? Not really.
Yeah, I figured.
Traditional mountaineering, it's about slow and steady, conserving energy, not exactly spinning your wheels at 16,000 feet.
Right, which makes sense when you think about the whole minimalist gear approach, too. Trail running shoes, a 30-liter backpack. It's practically unheard of for a climb like this.
Oh yeah, those articles, they didn't let that go unnoticed. We're talking about a completely different philosophy than your typical Everest expedition, for example. Heavy boots, down suits, oxygen systems, the works.
Because it's about safety, right?
Yeah.
Being prepared for anything.
Exactly. You're up there. You're exposed to the elements. You need that protection. So Andrew's going minimalist. It's a calculated risk for sure.
Even a small change in weather, a minor delay, And that lack of gear could become a serious problem.
Oh, absolutely. You're relying on your fitness, your experience, your ability to adapt.
And your mental strength. Which, I mean, we're talking about the death zone here. Above 8,000 meters, just the term itself is terrifying.
It's not just a name, that's for sure.
It's like the ultimate test, isn't it? Not just your physical strength, but like you said, your mind starts to play tricks on you up there.
They don't sugarcoat it. Hallucinations, impaired judgment, it's a real phenomenon.
And you're making these life or death decisions.
And that's where, you see the difference between someone like Andrews and, well, maybe someone who's not as prepared, not as mentally strong.
Well, and he seems to have this whole other level of mental game, right? About enduring pain. It's kind of chilling when you think about it.
It's about pushing past those limits, those voices in your head telling you to stop.
This is not the time for fear.
Yeah.
That comes later. It gives me chills just thinking about it.
But it also speaks to this incredible human spirit, One article, it talks about how Andrews, right when he summits, what does he do? Calls his parents.
No way, at the summit.
Thousands of miles away, wakes them up at 3 a.m. just to share that moment.
Oh, that's kind of awesome. It's like, yeah, this incredible feat, but it's also about sharing it with the people you love.
Exactly. It's human, It brings it back down to earth, reminds you that there's more to it than just these crazy records.
It's about pushing your own limits, but also about those connections. And speaking of pushing limits, he's not done. Khumbu Valley, that's next on the list.
Lots of objectives there, for sure.
But the ultimate goal, a speed record on Everest.
See, now that's just, where do you even begin? We're talking about Everest.
The highest point on Earth.
The articles, they touch on the altitude, the weather's even more unpredictable, and then there's the traffic.
Oh yeah, you're not alone up there anymore.
So a speed attempt. It's planning, it's luck, it's having a team that's on top of every little detail.
I have a feeling you will be hearing about it.